Welcome to this recording, which considers joint products and byproducts within process costing. If more than one product emerges from a process, then those products are either referred to as joint products or byproducts. A byproduct is a product that has a saleable value. However, that saleable value is considered to be insignificant. This could be, for example, sawdust or metal cut-offs, which can be sold for scrap. For this reason, byproducts are treated in the same way as normal losses are treated, in that they are valued at scrap value. A joint product is a saleable item with a significant sales value. What we mean by a joint product is that there are two or more products emerging from a process, and both those products were intended to be produced. So, for example, two or more types of chemicals may come out of one process. Because we have joint products, it is not possible to work out the unit cost as we have done in previous methods. So therefore, what we need to look at is how we can apportion our process costs between the joint products. It's usual to do this on either market value or weight. So we're going to look at an example. So we're told that this is an example of joint and buy products. The process costs at the end of the process are £6,400. Out of the process we have four products, W, X, Y and Z. We've been given the weight of each of these products that have come from the process, and we've been given the sales value. Now, if we consider the definition of a byproduct and a joint product, a byproduct has an insignificant sales value. So looking at these four products here, W is valued at £6 a kilo, X is £5 a kilo, Y is £4 a kilo, and Z is 20 pence a kilo. So in comparison with the other products, Z has an insignificant sales value and is therefore treated as a byproduct. So Z is a byproduct. Byproducts are valued at their scrap value. So we have for Z 600 kilos, and the scrap value is the saleable value of 20p a kilo. So Z has a value of £120. We use this scrap value to reduce our overall costs. Again, as you have seen in other single and multiple process costing questions, we have always reduced our process costs by the scrap value of any normal losses. So we do the same thing with a byproduct. We reduce the process costs by the scrap value of the byproduct. So our process costs are £6,400. Reduce that by the scrap value of 120, and that leaves us with 6280. So that's our process costs that needs to be apportioned across our joint products, W, X and Y. We're going to look at two methods of doing this, apportioning by weight and apportioning by market value. So if we look at weight first, so we have our three products, which are the joint products. We've got 500 kilos for W, 800 kilos for X and 600 kilos for Y. So in total that is 1900 kilos. So to apportion according to weight, the calculation is that we express each individual product as a percentage of the total weight and then apply the cost. So what that means is that for product W, that product W makes up 500 of the total 900 kilos. Multiply that by 6280, which is our cost, and we can say the cost of product W is 1653. Do the same for X. X makes up 800 of the total 900 kilos. Multiply by 6280 gives us 2644. And finally Y makes up 600 of the total 1900. Multiply that by 6280 and that gives us 1983. So if we just check, all of that should add up to 6280. So we've not needed to work out a cost per unit as we have done in the past. Instead, we have the total costs of our three products. And if we were to put this into a process account, it would look something like this. So on the debit side would be our process costs, £6,400, and on the credit side we record our output. We've got W, 500 kilos, value of 1653, X, 800 kilos, value 2644, Y, 600 kilos, value 1983, and Z, 600 kilos, value 120. And the process account balances off. Okay, so that's looking at apportioning the costs on weight. The other method is to apportion the costs on market value. So we've got the three products, W, X and Y. So we need to work out the market value. We have the selling prices. So 500 kilos has a market value of £6 a kilo. 800 kilos of X at a market value of £5 a kilo. And 600 kilos of Y at a market value of £4 a kilo. So we just need to multiply those out. So W, we've got 500 times 6. So that gives us £3,000. X, we have 800 times 5 gives us £4,000, and Y, we have 600 kilos times 4 gives us £2,400. So total it up, £9,400. So now the maths is the same as we did with weight. When we looked at the weight method, so for example for W, we looked at 500 kilos divided by the total of 1900 and then multiplied it by the cost. So same idea with the market value. For W, market value of W, £3,000 as a percentage of the total market value. So we do 3,000 divided by 9,400 times 6280. And that gives us 2,004. For X, market value of X, 4,000 out of a total of 9,400 times 6280 gives us 26. Sorry, just going to have to rub that one out. Okay, and rewrite that one correctly. 2672. And for Y, 2,400 out of 9,400 times 6280 gives us 1604. Just check we've done it all correctly. Add these three up and they come to 9. No, they don't come to 9,400. They come to our original cost, 6280. Okay, so there we have it. Now we could write up the process account using these figures as we did before. Process account. Debit side is the costs. Credit side is our output, kilos and value. We've got W, X, Y and Z with 500 kilos, 800 kilos, 600 kilos and 600, and the values 2,004, 2672, 1604 and 120, all totaling up to 6,400. So those are the two most popular methods of dealing with joint products. So as I said, when we have a joint product, there is no need to work out the cost per unit as we've done in the past. Instead, we work out the cost for our total output. There are other methods that you may be asked to deal with. So you could be asked to look at volume, but the maths is always the same, as we've done with these two examples. One other thing to note is that with joint and byproducts, all the cost is attributed to the output only. So therefore, if you have an abnormal loss or an abnormal gain, it will have no value. Now I know this is not what we've done before. We've looked at when we've had a cost per unit, we've valued the abnormal loss and the abnormal gain at that cost per unit. This is not the case with joint products. We are attributing all of our costs to our output. So any abnormal losses or gains, they need to be considered. So in terms of quantities, you would put the quantities into the process account, but they would have 0 value. So this is only a short video. Hope that brings us to the end, and hopefully now you feel confident in being able to deal with joint and byproducts.